It's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
The Trump administration's characterization of USAID as a criminal organization run by radical lunatics may sound extreme, but according to The Economist, it reflects a growing skepticism about foreign aid that extends well beyond American politics. The Economist notes that while Trump's approach is unusually and needlessly chaotic, other Western nations are following similar paths. Britain under Prime Minister Keir Starmer is cutting its aid budget by 40% to boost defence spending. France's minority government plans to reduce aid by more than a third this year, and Germany is also trimming back its commitments. This global retreat from aid isn't just about budget constraints. It reflects mounting questions about effectiveness. The Economist points out that after more than 60 years and hundreds of billions of dollars, the benefits of foreign aid have been mixed at best. Where aid has worked, according to their analysis, is in global health programs and humanitarian relief. Donor-funded vaccines and clinics have helped reduce child mortality rates in Africa by 3/4 since the 1960s. American-financed antiretroviral drugs cut AIDS deaths by half in the 2 decades to 2020. But The Economist emphasizes that such life-saving interventions account for only about 1/4 of total aid flows. Much of the remaining funding goes toward infrastructure and economic assistance, areas where results have been disappointing. If the aim is to boost growth, it is not working, the magazine states, noting that African real incomes per person have barely increased in 3 decades. The publication identifies several fundamental problems with traditional development aid. It tends to be statist, with efforts to pick industrial winners rarely succeeding. In some countries, aid has enabled government waste by covering essential services while officials spend on vanity projects. And contrary to popular belief, The Economist argues that aid rarely buys meaningful soft power. In some countries, aid dependency has become entrenched. The magazine reports that in Malawi's 60 years of independence, Malawians have had more spent on them by aid agencies than by their own government. Meanwhile, fiscal pressures on donor countries are intensifying. With aging populations requiring more spending on pensions and healthcare, plus growing security concerns, particularly in Europe, where The Economist estimates EU members may need to double defense budgets to counter Russia, foreign aid is increasingly seen as a luxury. Rather than abandoning aid entirely, The Economist suggests focusing on programs that demonstrably work, particularly in health. They propose 3 guiding principles: leveraging government's unique coordinating capabilities, addressing information gaps the public can't easily assess, and funding causes with positive global spillovers, such as preventing the spread of infectious diseases. Trump's approach, according to the publication, fails to follow these principles. His cuts have affected effective programs as much as wasteful ones, and some officials view aid primarily as a tool for securing political favors. As Western aid declines, The Economist notes that non-Western donors like China and the United Arab Emirates are unlikely to fill the gap, as they tend to prioritize infrastructure and political advantage over humanitarian concerns. The magazine concludes that while the transition will be painful, particularly for the poorest countries, the old era is not coming back. Governments in developing nations must now strengthen their own institutions and implement growth-friendly reforms as they become masters of their own destiny.